Hi, I'm Glenn Stile, and I'm an agent with Keller Williams Realty here in Montrose, Colorado. And I thought I would talk a little bit about buying a home and what that process is like. I've been an agent for 3 years now, and if I miss something or if there's something that's incorrect, please feel free to correct me in the comments below. So, what we do when you buy a home first is we do a buyer consultation. And that means we meet one-on-one. And when we meet one-on-one, what I do is I get your contact information, find out where you are in the process of buying a home, if it's the very beginning of that process, if you're looking to get a loan, if you've already got set up with a loan officer and you're already pre-approved, that kind of stuff. And if you're not, then what we do is we get you pre-approved. That way we know the amount of money you can pay for a home. Also, we ask you, or I ask you, things that might be personal, like how much cash you have, that kind of stuff. Are you looking to sell a house first? Where you are with that process. But also what we do is we have you sign an exclusive right to buy contract. And what that means is that would be your buyer agent. And what that looks like is this. And in this contract, it's a state form with Colorado. In this contract, it just says that you're not with another, you're not party to another contract, that kind of stuff, the amount of time that I'm going to be your agent, those kind of things. Just sets it up that I'm your coach, not a referee. A referee would be more like a transaction broker where you're neutral on both sides. An exclusive right to buy contract means that I'm your agent. Also, after that, what we do is we talk about if you're pre-approved, do you have a letter of pre-approval? That way I have that letter, I hold on to it. And then we talk about where you want to buy a house, for how much, stuff like when, if, how big you want the house to be, that kind of stuff, maybe acreages, that kind of thing. And then what we do is that we do a search on any current back on market or listings that are brand new and active. So then what we do is we also look at like for sale by owners. So I search everything that's available at the time, seeing if it fits your criteria. And then what we do is I set up showings. I contact the listing agent and request a showing, and then it's confirmed with the listing agent, and I make it so, we have a tour that makes sense around the town. That way we're not going from one side of the town to the next. If there could be two properties that are very close to each other. So then, I get the lockbox number and we go together, or we meet at a property. We look at that property, and some are empty and some are not. And I have the listing with me. That way I can answer any questions you might have when we go and see that place. Also keeping in mind things like, some homes have audio and video already set up in the home where they can watch you. And I just kind of remind our buyers that can be the case. And then once you choose a home, what I do is I go to work for you and you, the buyer. What I do is I use a Colorado state form that is this form here. It's a contract to buy form. It's basically the offer, okay? And I'll get into that a little bit more. So I fill this out, we make the offer together. How much you want to offer, that kind of stuff. When you want to close, and deadlines. And that's what I wanted to get into with deadlines with you. It's my job to pay attention to deadlines, and I'll show you what I mean by that. In the form, if you'll look at this, there's all kinds of deadlines like title, earnest money, and that kind of stuff. Inspection, every house should be inspected. And I pay attention to these deadlines because once we make this offer and we're under contract, you have these deadlines to be able to get out of the contract or renegotiate until closing. And so I make the offer, and if there's a loan, I attach your pre-approval letter with that offer, and to win that offer. And then the listing agent receives the offer, and what they do is they present the offer to the seller. And they have three things they can do. They can either accept it, they can ignore it, or they can counter. And if they counter, I'll get the counter back and I'll go over it with you, the buyer, the counter. And then again, you have three choices. You can accept the counter, you can ignore the counter, or you can counter yourself. And we can go back and forth as many times as it takes until we have a contract, which means that they would essentially agree to this contract, okay? And then it's the deadlines, like the earnest money. And that's money that, you know, you're going to be putting down to the title company that says that, you know, you're serious about buying the house and that kind of stuff. And I go over that with you once, you know, we make the offer. And then what happens is that when we're under contract, then the selling agent sends the contract to the title company, okay? And then they start their title work. And a title company is an insurance company. So they start their title work, and that is to create a good title for you. The seller buys the title insurance on behalf of them, giving you clear and good title on the house. And then also, I take the contract and I send it to your lender. That way they know you're under contract, they know the details, and then they start their work with all the lending, like the appraisal and all that other stuff, and that's more deadlines in here. And then in this offer also, or this contract, it does have what we're under contract for on when we're going to close. And so we're moving towards a closing date, and then at closing date, we usually have the closing at the title company. And what the title company does is it works on behalf of us, the buyer, the seller agent and buyer agent, and then also the lender, creating the documents that we all get ahead of time. That way, when you go to closing, you're not surprised by anything. And if I do my job correctly, then you won't be. You'll know exactly what's happening. And so then on closing day, we close, and that's it. Feel free to make any comments or questions below, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.